Good evening, and welcome to the regular business meeting for Wall Township, May 26, 2026. I ask that everyone please rise to salute the flag and a moment of silence to honor the brave men and women of our armed forces who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our great nation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roberta, can you please read the sunshine statement?
In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice that this meeting has been provided in the following manner. The annual notice was forwarded to the official township newspapers and was posted in the Wall Township Municipal Building. All notices are on file with the township clerk.
Thank you. Roll call.
Committeeman Beck? Committeeman Clayton?
Here.
Committeeman Orender?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Farrell?
Here.
Mayor Mangan?
Here.
We have 4 members present.
Thank you. Moving along into our ordinances. Introduction of ordinance number 14, 2026.
Ordinance number 14, 2026, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Wall in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, to amend Wall Township Code, Chapter 140, Section 144, which pertains to land use and development, and to add Chapter 95, which pertains to design guidelines.
Thank you. May I have a motion that ordinance number 14, 2026 be adopted as to its first reading and advertised for a second reading and public hearing on June 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. pursuant to law?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Committeeman Orender. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Committeeman Clayton.
Committeeman Clayton?
Yes.
Committeeman Orender?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Farrell?
Yes.
Mayor Mangan?
Yes.
We have 4 yeas to adopt ordinance 14, 2026.
Thank you. Moving to introduction of ordinance number 15, 2026.
Ordinance number 15, 2026, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Wall in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, to amend Wall Township Code, Chapter 113, to waive fees for vendors participating in public events organized, coordinated, and/or promoted by the township or another local government unit.
Thank you. May I have a motion that ordinance number 15, 2026 be adopted as to its first reading and advertised for its second reading and public hearing on June 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. pursuant to law?
Madam Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Committeeman Clayton. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Committeeman Orender.
Committeeman Clayton?
Yes.
Committeeman Orender?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Farrell?
Yes.
Mayor Mangan?
Yes.
We have 4 yeas.
Great. Thank you. Second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 10, 2026.
Ordinance number 10, 2026, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Wall, amending and supplementing Chapter 140 of the Land Use and Development Regulations of the Township of Wall, Section 164, accessory use restrictions pertaining to cottage food operators.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open it up to public comment in regards to this ordinance only. If anyone would like to come up and speak about this ordinance only, please do so.
Hi, Betsy Cross. I live in Wall. Could you just give a quick summary of what this is? I missed the first reading, and I didn't have a chance to look at it right now, and I don't know if anybody else here has. Thanks.
Cottage chip.
Mayor, so the cottage license fee is, this came to light, and this is being passed throughout the state. It allows individuals to make baked goods, as an example, in their home and then sell it at, for instance, the new farmers market that we're going to have here starting next week. So this allows those type of uses to be done and for the individuals to sell their goods at similar farmers markets. Currently, right now, it would not be allowed in Wall Township, so this just takes care of that, but this also cleans up and goes parallel path with the state.
Thank you. Anybody else for public hearing about this ordinance? Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to be made to close the public hearing and adopt the ordinance as to its second and final reading advertised to pursuant in law.
Madam Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Committeeman Clayton. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Committeeman Arender.
Committeeman Clayton.
Yes.
Committeeman Orender.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Farrell.
Yes.
Mayor Mangan.
Yes.
We have 4 yeas to adopt the ordinance.
Thank you. Moving along to our second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 11, 2026.
Ordinance number 11, 2026, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Wall in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, to amend Wall Township Code, Chapter 21548, Schedule 16, speed limits to limit vehicles' speed along a portion of Seagard Avenue to 25 miles an hour.
Thank you. At this time, we are going to open up public hearing for this ordinance only. If anybody would like to speak to this ordinance, please come up.
Betsy Cross, I live in Wall. I'm actually glad to see this. I just saw it was on here. And I'm wondering, how did it become about? Because I know in Spring Lake Heights, they're going to start putting in some speed bumps on Alair Road, and I'm not sure if it's Wall Road and Old Mill Road. So could you just give us a little history on why this is happening? The other question I have is the area between Alair Road and Old Mill Road. People are speeding down there 55 miles an hour. So maybe we can get a check with the police, but it's crazy. That road is 35 or 45. That should be 25, because that's the new cut through to get away from all the traffic that's happening in Wall Township. So I would really like that area between the traffic light between Alair Road and Old Mill Road seriously looked at. And I think I'm going to point out that Mr. Beck is not here. I don't know if that's the 3rd or 4th meeting. Like, where is
Ms.
he?
Cross, let's stick to the ordinance.
I know, but where is Dan Beck, who is running for office, who should never be reelected, is what I'm wondering. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Do you want to answer? Do you want me?
Christopher Case, Wall Township.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see that the reduced speed limits. I live on Magnolia Avenue and walking my dog, and people biking across. I think it's good that they lowered the limit, but maybe that should also be looked at for maybe having a pedestrian crossing as well, with kind of like what they have on Main Street in Manasquan. Especially like in the summer months, it's very, very busy, and that should definitely be potentially looked into, maybe even like a raised crosswalk or a pedestrian walkway that we can walk across safely without potentially being hit by a car.
Thank you. Anyone else for a public hearing in regards to this ordinance?
Mayor, just answer the question. Manasquan, the borough of Manasquan had done a traffic study in their section of Seagard Avenue, and they reduced the speed to 25 miles an hour, which is on one side of the road. Wall Township looked at it so that both sections of, right now, side would be 35, the other side would be 25. This now makes both sides 25 in that section of Seagard Avenue.
Thank you. Yes, and just to note, the chief and I, as well as all township committee members, are in constant communication over public safety regarding traffic speed limits, pedestrian crosswalks. So if there's any suggestions from a certain neighborhood, we are always available to listen to your concerns and have them addressed. So upon completion, let's ask for a motion to be made to close public hearing and adopt the ordinance to its second and final reading advertised pursuant to law.
I'll make the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Committeeman Arender. Second.
Second it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Farrell.
Committeeman Clayton.
Yes.
Committeeman Orender.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Farrell. Mayor Mangan.
Yes.
We have 4 yeas to adopt the ordinance.
Great. At this time, we're going to have a presentation from Scott Taylor. I am so pleased to see so many residents here this evening. Our goal is really to provide as much information as possible, so that way you have the information and any questions or concerns can then be addressed afterwards.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Mayor and committee members and members of the public. My name is Scott Taylor. I'm with Taylor Design Group. We're a planning consultant for the town. We have worked for several years on this project, and just by way of background, the subject property that we're talking about is a 21.79 acre parcel located at the Circle, at the Rail Trail, Atlantic Avenue, and Route 35. It's currently located in the HB 200 zoning district. It is block 810, lots 1, 3, and 4, and approximately 21.79 acres, if I didn't say that already. It is in the HB 200 zoning district. As we all know, it was formerly a retail site that has been vacant and in a state of deferred maintenance for quite some time now. Well, on March 28, 2018, the Township Committee asked the Planning Board to do an evaluation to determine whether or not this area could be determined an area in need of redevelopment without condemnation. That study was undertaken by Nora Coyne. There were several statutory criteria that were met. There was a public hearing on July 9, 2018, where the Planning Board determined that it did in fact meet those statutory criteria and should therefore be designated as an area in need of redevelopment without condemnation, which is somewhat significant because the non-condemnation means that the municipality cannot exercise its powers of eminent domain, that any involvement within this is purely voluntary on the part of the landowner or contract purchasers. On July 25, 2018, the Township Committee did in fact designate the area as an area in need of redevelopment without condemnation. There were several proposals that moved forward. Many of those had up to 350 or more residential units plus a 100, in excess of 100 room hotel, along with other retail and commercial establishments. Other developments that had upwards of 400 or 500 were presented. None of those redevelopment plans came forward. Fast forward to 2025, as we all know, the New Jersey State Supreme Court has identified that all municipalities must provide for and facilitate their fair share of the region's affordable housing obligation. Through 2020, late 2024 and into 2025, the township undertook a new housing element and fair share plan. That plan was presented and adopted for the Planning Board and the Township Committee on August 25 of last year, of 2025. This parcel, Block 810, lots 1, 3, and 4, was included in that as an inclusionary townhouse project. The composition at that time, which is identical to what is included in the redevelopment plan tonight, is for a maximum of 217 townhouse units. 45 of those will be affordable units with credits for the town to meet its fourth round fair share housing obligation. The balance of the site will include 44 two-story townhomes, which essentially back up to the rail trail, and the balance of that is then 128 three-story townhouses along the frontage. So while traditional rezoning could have been utilized to facilitate the required development for the fair, I should also say that housing element and fair share plan, in addition to being approved by the Planning Board and the Township, was also approved by the court, the Fair Share Housing Center, and also by the court-appointed adjudicator. Again, the number of units has remained the same. So this site is one of our affordable housing sites for the fourth round. So as I said, we could have gone through a traditional rezoning and put together a simple rezoning and bulk standards for the site to facilitate the required density. We felt, and the governing body agreed, that we could have greater control over the design, the architecture, and the buffers to maximize the preservation of existing features and to try to guide the character of this community to fit better by going through the redevelopment process. And I'll go through some of the images that we've included in the redevelopment plan that we think achieve those desired outcomes. As we said, the two major components are really control over the architecture, and the other is control over buffers. Along the rail trail, our ordinance does not require any buffers to be provided in that location, or buffers are not required between two different residential land uses in the town. But I know that Mayor and Township Committee felt it very important to protect the surrounding neighbors, as well as the users of the rail trail, as well as the folks within this new community who will be our new neighbors, to provide buffers and enhanced setbacks in those locations. And I'll go through some of those standards in a minute. Some of the other requirements related to perimeter buffers along the circle and also along Atlantic Ave. So as we indicated, here is the site, lots 1, 3, and 4. Atlantic Ave is, let me see if I can, I think everyone knows where the site is. I don't know why I'm going through this effort. Atlantic Ave, Route 35, and the rail trail along the southern portion of the site. So as required by the Housing Element and Fair Share Plan, we have created the Peddlers Village Redevelopment Area Zoning District. And as previously indicated, that includes 45 affordable for-sale family stacked townhouse units, up to 44 market rate 2-story townhouse units, again, backing up largely to the rail trail, and then 128 market rate 3-story stacked townhouse units. There are new roadways, parking, and associated improvements, as well as buffers, community amenities that will be included. This layout generally shows the building massing and is relatively consistent with the exhibits included with the Housing Element and Fair Share Plan. So there will be 3-story units largely fronting and in the northern portion of the site. The entire rear line of townhomes and the two in this western corner are the 2-story townhomes to try to minimize the visual impacts on users of the rail trail and the residential community to the rear. We have definitions. We've addressed all of the statutory requirements under the local redevelopment and housing law in terms of consistency with our master plan and the plan goals and objectives. Namely, this really implements our newly adopted Housing Element and Fair Share Plan, which is an element of your master plan. Permitted accessory uses, and then we've set up zoning and dimensional standards for the overall tract. And you can see here we have perimeter buffers along Atlantic Ave of 50 feet, 75 feet to the circle, 25 feet along all other property lines, where the ordinance would actually not require any buffering at all. Wherever possible, existing vegetation is to be preserved to the extent practical, and then supplemented with predominantly evergreen trees with inclusions of shade trees, ornamental trees, and masses of evergreen shrubs, and berming to facilitate that buffering that's envisioned. Separations between units, et cetera. Most of these largely follow the standards that have been established for many of your other AH zoning districts over the 3rd and 4th round. It's a very slow scrolling mouse. We've also included, and you can see here, conceptually, the berms that will surround the perimeter of the site are these curving meandering naturalistic forms to have them blend within the landscape. Sidewalks will then wind within those. There's an enlargement. You can see the evergreen trees, shade tree masses along curvilinear walkways, and also ornamental trees and other plantings to create some visual interest in addition to the screening. This is a representative 50-foot section that requires 4 to 6 foot high berming to minimize headlight glare, create privacy for the rear yards of those new units, and also create visual separation from the traveling public, both on the rail trail and also on the surrounding roadways. This is an exhibit showing the site frontage that was prepared by the applicant's landscape architect that again shows curvilinear stormwater management forms with a curvilinear walkway that connects through the site, and also berming and extensive landscaping to meet the objective. There are also community recreation amenities on site. Some examples of the play area, shade pavilions, picnic tables, all handicap accessible, all consistent with the New Jersey Barrier-Free Subcode and the New Jersey Public Playground Safety Subcode as well. All of the development will have to comply with the New Jersey Residential Site Improvement Standards, all applicable DOT, county, and soil erosion requirements. And I should say, by way of sort of procedurally, this is probably at least the 12th public hearing where this site has been addressed through the redevelopment process and also through the affordable housing process. All this plan does is modify the zoning and establishes the design standards so that the already approved density of 217 total units can be implemented in the best way possible to meet our 4th round affordable housing obligation. When we get into, and we worked considerably trying to get architectural presentation that is broken up. There's variations in roof lines, in the facade lines, a lot of shadow created. There were requirements for them to use warm muted earth tones to try to get the architecture to recede behind the planting so it sort of blends into the site and into the landscape. A lot of detailing to create shadow and to create fenestration to break up the mass of those structures. These are the 2-story townhomes, the fronts and the rears. Rear 2-story with potential walkout basement. That is a side elevation. You can see we paid a lot of attention through the redevelopment entity and working with the prospective redeveloper to get the sides to be very well detailed, because many of these will be visible from surrounding properties and surrounding roadways, and having blank townhouse facades with few or no windows was not acceptable. So there is stone water table at the base, shutters, traditional board and batten siding, overhanging eaves to create shadows, louvers, band boards, et cetera, to try to break up the mass of those structures. This is the architecture of the 3-story stacked townhomes that are more internal and fronting on Atlantic Avenue. Even down to the detail of the garage doors are not all stark white. They will be an off-white muted tone. So as you're driving by or even driving through the community, it is not a garage scape of bright white garage doors. These are the rears of the 3-story stacked. You can see still a tremendous amount of windows and fenestration and detailing, gables to help break up the visual mass of the roof lines, and a considerable amount of detailing on the side facades for those 3-story stacked units as well. The affordable units employ a largely similar palette of design materials and colors for the presentation, front facades and rear facades. and detailing. These are a little bluer, the way it's reading on the screen, but it will be more of a bark, warm muted grays, browns, and tans as it presents. There's a significant level of design standards. We talked a little bit about compliance with all outside agency approvals. That will really be one of the next steps. After this entire process is finished and the zoning is in place, any prospective redeveloper will have to make an application to the planning board for site plan and/or subdivision approval. All applicable DOT, county, and soil erosion approvals will be required. Traffic will be addressed at that time. The township has already been in consultation with the county, as has the developer, because we know that there are some traffic issues on Atlantic Avenue. One of the things that we've talked about through this process, understanding that the HB 200 zoning district would permit gasoline stations, supermarkets, and a variety of other high traffic generation types of uses. I would anticipate that we will see a traffic study that shows reduced trip generation from this townhouse development compared with some of the permitted uses that would have been approved. All of those will be addressed. We do anticipate that there will be significant county roadway improvements. The town was adamant that we do provide sidewalks because along the frontages, because we do know that we have folks walking to connect to the bike path, to the swim school, and to a variety of other uses through the area. There is an extensive, even down to designing the refuse enclosures so they fit within the character of the community. So the masonry base and the siding for those enclosures will match the building architecture and have plantings. There will also be covered bicycle parking for those units that do not have garages, specifically some of the affordable units, so that especially all winter, bicycles don't need to be left outside, especially after the winter we had this year. And we expect, and we also have requirements for bicycle parking, understanding that we're going to have a lot of folks that move into this community because of that incredible amenity right in their backyard of being able to connect to the rail trail. We've gone through and enumerated all of the building and design standards in the ordinance. These plans will have to all be submitted to the redevelopment entity township committee for substantial consistency with the redevelopment plan before any hearing at the planning board. Based on the outside agency reviews, buildings may need to shift, buildings may need to have modified roof lines, and as long as they are substantially consistent, it will move through that process. The buffers and the setbacks are absolutes. They must be complied with, or variances would need to be requested. But this plan was developed to minimize or eliminate any need for variances at the planning board level. We do that to the best extent we can, working from a conceptual plan. Once final engineering comes, like we said, there may need to be some shifting. So significant townhouse design standards. We also have sustainable building practices for all three of the building types, a significant landscaping section. This is where we talk about what must be planted within those buffers, a minimum of 10 evergreen trees per 100 linear feet, 6 to 8 feet in height, and 25% of those shall be 8 to 10 feet in height to get some increased maturity and impact at the time of planting. Also shade trees, ornamental trees, evergreen, and deciduous shrubs as well. Street trees, obviously required along all of the site frontages to try to get this to fit within the character of the community. Shade parking areas, traffic calming, maintenance requirements, and a significant lighting standard as well to be consistent with the Illuminating Engineer Society of North America recommendations. All lighting shall be full cutoff, which means no floodlights. The lights have to be recessed. No light can emit greater or above 90 degrees of horizontal, and all lighting must be 3,000 degrees Kelvin. The bright blue that you see at athletic fields or at car dealerships, that super bluish bright white daytime, That's about 4,000 or 5,000 degree Kelvin. This is more of a sunset type color that still is perfectly safe for roadways and recommended by most authorities and actual medical. The AMA has published recommendations to avoid daytime type lighting. So that's been incorporated. It's something the planning board has been doing on a majority of its applications that come before to try to minimize both on-site and off-site glare impacts to surrounding roadways and properties. And those have all been incorporated into the plan. And then there are additional administrative and procedural requirements that are included, but that was my short overview. But I'm happy to answer any questions any of you may have on the plan.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. So we're going to read the ordinance, and then we will open it up to public hearing, okay? And then at that time, we will allow everyone to come up and state your name for the record, and you will have 5 minutes, and then at the end of the 5 minutes, we will answer any questions at that time, okay? So second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 12, 2026.
It's an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Wall in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, to adopt the redevelopment plan for Block 810, lots 1, 3, and 4, titled Peddlers Village Redevelopment Plan pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A:12A-1 et sec.
Thank you. At this time, would anyone like to come up for public comment, hearing? Please come.
I'm Diane Ladage. I live in the Apple Ridge development, right behind what you're talking about. And I have a couple of different concerns. One of which is I don't understand why a traffic study is not being done first before you decide to put in townhouses and condos and whatever the case might be. I mean, anyone that lives around here knows that there are times it takes a very long time to get from Ace Hardware to Seagirt Avenue because the traffic is backed up. And then, you know, any example of that would have been this weekend where you couldn't even leave your house because the traffic is so bad. So I would like that to be addressed. That circle is a nightmare. I know what I read in the CoStar was putting a third lane on Atlantic Avenue. Well, you see it on Highway 35, and it doesn't always work. You've got people speeding down the center thinking they can cut off everybody else. It's a traffic disaster. You would think that you would address the circle before you start putting more buildings in. My second concern is the amount of children that are going to be entering our school district. We already have overcrowding in several of the schools. I know from several neighbors that there's a lottery if they can get their kids into the school that they should have gone into. So that's a great concern. You know, when you're talking about condos, you're talking about people coming in with children, which is fine. I love children. That's not the problem. The problem is we don't have very much space anymore. So that is a problem. My third objection, or liking some answers to, is I have a retention basin on my property. The head wall is approximately 36 inches. It goes into an 18-inch pipe that goes underneath the bicycle path. When it rains really hard, my retention basin floods to the point of between 8 to 10 feet. There are numerous times we've had to call and get somebody to come in and unclog it, meaning the township, to come in and take care of that. So I would like to know, are you going to address the small pipe that goes underneath that bicycle path? I mean, everybody knows the Blue Peach from years ago got demolished because of the amount of water that comes through. So that's a real concern as far as the amount of water. I would like to step forward and show you a picture of what I'm talking about.
Please do. Are we able to keep?
This is my backyard when it rains. And then it takes several days for that water to drain.
Can we keep this, or?
You can keep it.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
that's 2376 Peter Court. So it runs right back into whatever retention basin Peddlers was supposed to have. Obviously, an 18-inch pipe is not big enough when it's coming out of a 36-inch pipe, and it's,
Thank you, sorry.
okay.
Just so it's on record with the microphone. Thank you.
So those are my three concerns. So any help that we can get, I mean, that circle, like I said, is a nightmare. The amount of children that are going to be coming in, populating the schools, and my retention basin issue. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Hold on one moment. Mr. Taylor, would you like to address
Sure.
some of the questions?
So we can obviously pass along the issue about trying to remedy if there is a problem with an off-site pipe that is draining into this site. We will pass that along to the township engineer, the planning board engineer, and the applicant's engineer to see if anything can and should be addressed to help alleviate that problem. Even though this site is downstream from that, maybe there's something that can be done to help remedy that. So that would be item number one. In terms of the school's impact, that is something that every town in the state of New Jersey is dealing with because you were all given a prospective need. You all have a maximum cap of senior units that you can do. So all of these projects will result in school children. So unfortunately, this is the hand that municipalities have been dealt, and dealing with the school children is something that every municipality is struggling with, including here in Wall Township. But we unfortunately did not have a choice because we were given a number and we have to meet that number of family units under our fourth round housing element and fair share plan. In terms of the traffic, it is very uncommon, and I'm not sure I've seen it done, where the traffic studies are done in advance of the redevelopment plan and the zoning. Normally, the time does not facilitate that, and I'm not sure that the courts would actually support that as well. Both of the roadways that this site fronts on are not actually under township jurisdiction. They are under New Jersey Department of Transportation for Route 35 and the Circle, and under Monmouth County for Atlantic Avenue. Now, the town is trying to advance the issues with both of those entities that make sure that we're all working toward a common goal of providing safe vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian traffic in and around this area to the extent that we can. But those issues are outside of our jurisdiction. There will be traffic studies presented, and all of that, those outside agency traffic approvals and improvements will have to be obtained by the applicant.
Thank you.
Betsy Cross, I live in Wall. I've been here at a lot of these presentations. I was here on April 24th, 2019. I was here on May 22nd, 2019. And you just knew something very weird was going on. And we only found out about it when the township got sued for documents. And they literally just tried to redact everything. Pages and pages and pages of just black pages of redactions. And then they had to unredact the items. And this project should not be passed tonight. I think the traffic study thing sounds to me ridiculous, how we could not have the New Jersey Department of Transportation in Wall Township ask for a traffic study is beyond belief. The Scheibels family, boy, they kept asking for their taxes to be decreased, decreased, decreased. I just quickly pulled them up. They're only paying $84,322 right now. I think they were paying like $400,000 when they bought it, and then they just kept asking for it to be reduced. I have an email from John Scheibels, who's no longer with us, dated December 11, 2018. And it's to Carl Braun. He says he's very concerned. Jeff requested meaning Mr. Bertrand, a pilot study 9 months ago for the last 6 months, and he's been too busy to meet and review. Scott, who's sitting right here, compiled a redevelopment ordinance a month ago, and I've not reviewed it, and I don't believe the town had as well. On February 8th, I will have owned this property for 2 years. This project is not moving forward, but sideways. Well, that was his fault. He bought commercial property. He should have built commercial property. He could have built a hotel. He could have built a restaurant. He knew he bought commercial property. But in the background here with Kevin Orender and Carl Braun and George Newberry, they were all making deals that all came out in emails. The property has been incorrectly assessed for years. $5 million overassessed. No movement from the assessor. This is not my fault. That is a high assessment placed on the property. I've met with Ted, who's still here as the tax assessor. I've physically given him a tour 6 months ago, just airing my feelings and the need to update on these items. If Wall Township wants me to proceed further, I'm concerned about the lack of progress and communication. So the only reason we have to build these houses and affordable housing is because the committee got us into this mess. So it should stop. All these emails will go to the Attorney General, the DCA, and the New Jersey Department of Transportation. Another one here is from Kevin Orender. It's dated April 30th, 3 days after we all sat here. I sat right here. John Chavez sat right in the back with his person like Scott and Michael Shelton. They sat right back there. Kevin Orender, April 30th, 8:06 p.m. Hey guys, just a thought. As far as the meeting on May 22nd for the ordinance for the area of redevelopment of Peddler's Village, I'm suggesting that we only pass the ordinance, and I'm requesting that no one from John Scheibel's team shows up. So he didn't want him there at the next meeting because his project is just a concept, and we are in no way, shape, or form prepared to answer these questions to the development of that property. Keep in mind the ordinance is just laying the groundwork for what can be built here. Scheibels can sell this property tomorrow, and we'll be stuck answering questions we have no answers to. Let's tread cautiously and not get brought into a question and answer session that really hasn't materialized yet. That is Kevin Orender, who's sitting right here. I could go on and on and on. Carl Braun says on March 2nd, 2018, that I need to talk to you privately, alone. I'll call you when I'm free. Thursday, this is one, January 16, 2019, Thursday to move Scheibels and Clayton along. It's really disturbing. The only reason we're in this mess to build housing and affordable housing is because the committee got us here. We should not be having to build this. Your hands are not tied. You got us in this mess. You need to get us out of it. And you're running for re-election, Mayor Mangan, and I think this is where you start. I've really had just about enough. I literally pulled this out at 6:30. I went to my Peddler's Village folder, and I printed all these off. There's hundreds upon hundreds that are very, very damaging to the committee, and this should not be built. So I'm sure you can get them all from Roberta Lang, but yeah, just so everybody sees,
Ross, that's your 5 minutes.
black pages from the attorney. So I'm going to suggest you do not proceed with this tonight, and you do not vote on it. And I want to know who was on the redevelopment committee you mentioned. You said there's a redevelopment committee. Who is cherry-picked from Wall Township to be on that's going to shove this through? So if you could answer that question. And
Ms. Cross, that's your 5 minutes.
Thank you.
so I would like all those answers to my questions. Who is on the redevelopment committee and the other questions I asked? Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Taylor, do you have any answers?
Well, the only thing I'm not the town's affordable housing attorney or affordable housing planner, but I know that there have been court-imposed deadlines to produce ordinances to be in compliance with the order, with the court order. That being said, a majority of our meetings included Mr. Tabia. There were members of council, there were members of the planning board, Mr. Zahorsky, Ms. Coyne, I don't recall who else, but there were numerous Zooms, there were numerous meetings in Town Hall to go through this process.
Thank you. Mr. DeBia, did you?
One of the questions was the taxes that were paid from when the outlet center ceased to operate from 2016 to 2025. A little over $1.8 million was paid to the Township of Wall in taxes.
Thank you.
Down to $84,000.
Anyone else for public comment?
84,000. It's like a house in Wall Township.
Hi, my name is Bruce Mills. I'm a Wall Township resident.
Oh, talk in the microphone.
I'm a Wall Township resident. Actually, I live at Atlantic Manor Apartments, Building 4, which is right to the left of the development. My question is about traffic. In the CoStar report, there was a suggestion of putting a light in at Hinks. Is that across the street? Is that on the, or is that was just proposed?
So if you ask, well, use your 5 minutes, and then we're writing down all of your questions, and then we'll be able to answer all
Okay.
of, so that way you maximize your
So my question is
time.
there going to be a light at Hinks? And if there is, how am I going to get out of Atlantic Avenue when there will be a light 150 feet there and traffic is all the way back, not to Silton, not to the bike path, but all the way back to the Atlantic Club? And I've seen it in the summer and especially when Silton lets out. My second question, it's not really a question, to reiterate on what the woman said. Judas Creek one's parallel to the property. Once a year, it floods. It fills up completely. There's a, I've seen it, I have pictures of it, it gets 13 feet deep, and it floods back into the property. What is your suggestion for how to fix that? That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. DeBia, would you like to answer?
As I mentioned before, whether or not there is a signal put anywhere at this site or elsewhere is under the jurisdiction of the county in cooperation with DOT. I do know that when engineers look at signalization, they do that to try to provide gaps in all of the roadways so folks can enter and exit various roadways. But again, that is any widening, any accel or decel or turning lanes or traffic signalization is directly the responsibility and jurisdiction of the county and the NJDOT. I do know, and Mr. Tabia had noted very early on in the process that there are issues with flooding and clogging of the creek and also of downhill pipes that I believe are across Atlantic Ave, and that had been passed along to the engineers as an item to be addressed in conjunction with this. I was not aware of the young lady that spoke, Diana, and I didn't catch her last name, about an uphill clogging issue, so we will pass that along, but I know Mr. Tabia has greater knowledge of the downstream issues as well.
Thank you. Would you like to add? Okay, good.
John Sibby, Beach Street. My first question is, what about the backing up from Atlantic Ave to the Circle, going westbound? So that would actually cause a traffic delay and a congestion on 35 South. The egress is 20 feet from the complex for emergency vehicles only. How will that be protected from people actually cutting through there to the Circle? And again, I think a traffic study should be done before this is even heard and approved, because this is going to have a major impact on the traffic around the Circle, Atlantic Ave, in the area. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor, would you like to?
The emergency exit is being done just for that, for emergency purposes. There will likely either be a locked gate with a Knox box on that or some other physical way to do that. When and if access ever has to be obtained in that area, normally we see the emergency response folks put fire trucks, put things out, stop traffic so that an atypical apparatus movement can happen onto a site in an unusual location. So there are ways that gets addressed at the time of site plan approval. The fire folks review all these plans for acceptability and safety as it goes forward. And again, as we mentioned before, the traffic studies will be done, and those are outside agency approvals, and the engineers at the county and the state will address those.
Very good. Thank you. Please come up.
Yes. Yes.
That will be addressed by, we said,
And I will just say, because of the interrelationship of the county road to the circle, the county will have to coordinate whatever requirements they're doing with the state, because the state has priority here, because they will not tolerate unnecessary backups on their roadways to accommodate state or local roads. So the county and the state are going to have to agree on exactly what those improvements are to minimize the backups on either roadway and to provide the safest vehicular access, ingress and egress from this site and any of the other sites in the area.
thank you.
Hi, my name's Linda Von Bulow, and I live in Wall.
Thank you.
I think the bike path is one of the greatest assets that Wall Township has. I love it. I ride on it all the time. The crossing on Atlantic Avenue is so dangerous. I can't even tell you how many times I've almost been hit, and I get off my bike and walk it every single time. Doesn't matter. The traffic is so fast there. There's so much of it. If you add 400 more cars living in close proximity to that bike path crossing, somebody's going to get killed. I don't have a question. That's my statement, and I believe that with my whole heart.
Thank you.
Evening. Patricia Dombrowski, and I live in Wall, actually right across the circle, the first block in on New Brunswick Avenue, and I've lived on that block my entire life. So I have seen quite changes, as you might guess. So just three, I guess, questions or issues or concerns. One, just to echo some with the traffic. And with that, I know right up the street, less than a quarter mile up on Atlantic Avenue, construction has already begun on the other housing development. And I'm forgetting how many units is in there. So does that, the traffic study, consider that development and what is happening with that? And is that coordinated either also with the county or the state or with the proposed developer? So that's one. In terms of the buffers, I fully support, the need for buffers, but I also have a little trouble seeing. My other would be to make sure that there is easy access to the bike path, because obviously the better access, more people using the bike path, whether it's go to Manasquan, go to the municipal, go to Alair State Park, more people using the bike path, there's less people driving a car. So whatever we can do to really promote that access and promote that use, I'd be in support of. And then the other question is just around the garages and parking, and maybe we're not to that stage yet, but it was mentioned that some of the units will not have garages. Then a question around parking, and when that becomes something that we can either react to or weigh in on. And also tied with parking, this proposed developer, I know, has a development over off 138, fairly new, and I know from many people that live there that they have real concerns with the size of the garage, in part because the requirement is the township garbage cans need to be in the garage. They can't be outside. So once you put those big cans in the garage, there's no room for cars. So everybody is in driveways or trying to find, and there's not much extra space. So for the units that won't even have a garage, I guess is parking for them as well as then where did they keep their garbage cans? So those are my questions.
Thank you. That is a very valid concern about the garbage cans and the size of the garages. So please, thank you so much for bringing that up, because that is something that would definitely need to be taken into consideration, not only for this area, but for other areas. So we appreciate you raising that concern. Mr. Taylor, would you like to address access about the traffic concerns?
I will answer all four of Ms.
Perfect.
Dombrowski's questions.
Thank you.
Generally, traffic engineers for the developer will take into account other approved and other proposed development, and it's not done in a fishbowl. They normally do it proactively because they know that the county and the state is going to ask for that as well, because it's very short-sighted to just look at your development and then not realize that there might be 10 or 20 or 50 more units developed up the road. So that will be addressed when those engineers submit those to those outside entities for approval, outside agencies. I agree absolutely with bike path access. We're making connections within this site and duly noted on the benefits of that. In terms of the non-garage, some of the units, because they are stacked affordable units, there just isn't sufficient space for every single unit to have a garage because there's a stacked configuration. All of the parking will comply with the New Jersey Residential Site Improvement Standards. It is a bedroom-based calculation that the state provides a chart and says to the municipality, this is how many parking spaces you will require, and it actually does not allow the municipality to require more parking than what is required. So these are all 3-bedroom units that are proposed here. So they will have to comply with the townhouse 3-bedroom, which I believe might be 2.4 spaces per unit. And they can either be in a garage or within a parking area. So there are a number of parking lots that are scattered predominantly near the affordable housing units, where all of those units will have 2.3, 2.4, whatever that requirement is to meet the RSIS standards exactly. And regarding the size of the garage, the redevelopment plan has a provision that every garage, the architecture plans shall demonstrate that the required 9 by 18 parking space within a garage shall be in addition to the room required for the township's standard trash and recycling container and stairs, so that once those enclosures are in, or once those trash containers, I guess, are in the garage, there is still the required 9 by 18 clear space, which is the RSIS requirement within the garage. So we've addressed that in this redevelopment plan to avoid that situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to say something positive with all this negativity in the room. I've been here since 1960. My husband was a teacher.
I'm so sorry
Yeah.
to cut you. Can you state your name for the
Oh, I'm
for the
sorry,
record?
Nancy Leet.
Thank
Leet.
you.
When the high school opened, my husband was a coach and a physical education teacher. And just to address the concern about the crowded schools, it ebbs and flows. We've had double sessions, we've had single sessions, we've had higher in the intermediate school, higher in the high school, and just to say right now, our high school enrollment is down so much that if anyone knows about sports, we have dropped from Division III to Division II because our enrollment is so low. And that might change, and the grade schools might get lower, but that shouldn't be a concern. The other concern is, yes, there's always going to be traffic. We are exit 98 off the Garden State Parkway. They have to come down Atlantic Avenue if they choose to go to the beach that way. I live at Silton Swim School. I'm the owner, and I'm glad to see all this happening because something has to be done. I go down Atlantic Avenue to the Circle or go shopping at least 5 times a day. So 5 times down and 5 times back, I see that miserable eyesore that's been there too long.
So I'm very glad something is being done with it. I hope it passes. And we're not going to do anything about the traffic. There's just people that come to the Jersey Shore, people come, we are just a populated Monmouth County. You can't, and I'm glad to see that it's going to be housing and not retail. If you go to somewhere that's retail, you go in for a half hour and you come back out. So it's traffic going and coming, going, coming. With the townhouses, the people could stay there for 2 days and not go out, especially if it's bad weather. So that should be a plus over retail. And I just wanted to say, I just glad to get it started. I want to get over with, and I wanted to see how it's going to impact me at the school and the traffic. And just for everyone who doesn't know it, we get blamed for a lot, but we're only open 10 weeks. That's all we are. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Neil Rothman, 2546 Collier Road. I just have a question. I guess I didn't understand. The board has the authority to approve this redevelopment plan prior to a traffic study being done? Is that the law? Is that the way?
No, I'm sorry. So the planning board, as part of their approval process, will require, and it is a submission requirement, that a traffic study be presented at the time of the site plan and subdivision approval. What's being done tonight is just putting the zoning in place that allows for the developer to start their engineering plans, which is when they design stormwater, they design the roadways, the parking, and they need those off-site approvals. There will be a public hearing. Notice will be given to all owners within 200 feet of this property, and I'm sure it will be all over social media. So when that comes to the planning board for approval, the exact stormwater management, all of the particulars will be addressed in accordance with municipal ordinances, as well as any state laws and the outside agency approvals, county and state.
Okay, that's interesting. This could take time. I mean, obviously traffic in the summer here is even worse than...
And the planning board and those agencies know that taking traffic counts the second week in February does not work in Wall Township and most areas in anywhere in coastal New Jersey.
I was just curious, because it's a big decision, and you have a lot of these decisions that are going to be coming down the pike in this community, in our town, and it just seems like such a critical part of the decision process, and I guess there is a process, but it's part of this, whatever your decision is traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
I'm going to voice my opinion. Nobody has addressed expanding Orchard Park. We wouldn't have to put up with all this nonsense. Traffic, schools overcrowded. My grandchildren go to Old Mill School, and it's kind of crowded now. The police department's going to be overloaded. Why don't we just buy it and expand Orchard Park? And it's affordable housing. I think we have already had enough affordable housing in Wall Township. We don't want it to look like Lakewood. My opinion.
Excuse me, sir, can you just state your name for the record?
Dean Keenan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for?
Clayton Rickle from Wall. Sorry if it's been discussed in the past, but the demolition of the current structure, I know there was leaky pipes and mold, so if you could just talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Demolition will take place approximately 60 days after a planning board approval, and they will comply with all environmental restrictions and guidelines.
Hi, Eleanor Barbetti, 1129 Oak Road. I just want to know, how is all this going to affect our tax rates? I would think that maybe our taxes would go down because you've got all these people coming in, and they're going to be paying taxes. So how does that affect? I mean, everything has gone up. I know taxes will go up somewhat, but there's a lot of people in this area who have fixed incomes. I know there's a provision, but there are regulations for that. So that's my big concern, like, along with everything else, the traffic and whatever. But how that's going to be? I would hope to see if this goes through, a reduction in my taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dean Keenan Jr. Father. My question's about the buffer. So they put up the trees. How long is that going to be maintained? Because up they die. Like, is there going to be any kind of maintenance to the buffer so it doesn't get overgrown or just over time?
So there is. The redevelopment plan requires that all plantings on site be covered under a performance bond. So before the project is closed out, all of the landscape will be inspected for acceptability and consistency with the approved plans that are approved by the planning board. In addition to that, there's a 2-year maintenance guarantee that will be provided after that. What we find as a landscape architect, those mortalities typically occur in the first year or 2 after planting. Once they begin to get established, they're usually good. So it's based on the state's framework for a performance guarantee and then also a 2-year maintenance guarantee after the performance bond.
It looks like is there one entrance to the bike path, or is there going to be more?
There is one, and again, based on the topography, and there is one right along Route 35. There is also another envisioned to be internal to the site.
And then lastly, are there going to be any possible concessions for people that live bumped up to the bike path on the other side, like where it comes to maybe a fence or something to help them with their privacy? I mean, the company's already offered to put in new bathrooms at Orchard Park, like things like that. Is there that come up at all, like possible?
So I know, and a fence hasn't specifically been addressed. That can be something that's addressed with them and at the time of board approval. As I mentioned at the outset when I started the presentation, our ordinance would actually not require any buffering between 2 different residential uses, but the governing body felt it very important that we have, the setback to the nearest rear townhouse to the bike path is going to be 70 feet. 25 of that has to be a densely planted, largely evergreen buffer to create that physical and visual separation for privacy of folks using the rail trail, and frankly for privacy of those new units and their backyards which back up to the rail trail. That will also, in conjunction with the additional vegetation on the south side of the rail trail, will create a very significant buffer for those existing homes in Apple Ridge.
My last question is, does the buffer start this with 70 feet? Does it start from the back of the porch, like the back deck?
So the setback is 70 feet from the main building to the property line. The first 25 feet adjacent to the rail trail has to be nothing but plantings, but there will be a largely 70-foot area of green space. Decks and patios can extend into that, but the building wall itself has to be set back 70 feet.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you. Oh.
Hi, Brian Daniel, Wall Township. This is a question you may not be able to answer yet, but there's a pretty significant grade if you look at from the Atlantic Ave side, meaning that houses that were built towards the southern portion of the development would be on a, 30, 40 foot higher than if they were built as it stands now. I don't know if the plan is to go lower or to keep that pitch or to, even it up and bring it higher. I'm just curious if there's been any talk about that yet.
So we know globally what happens is sites like this end up having to be somewhat terraced. You have to take that grade up. Part of the equation is they have to do soil borings to determine the depth to seasonal high water table, because the bottom of the basin has to be at least 2 feet above seasonal high water. That can set what some of those other grades are. They normally try to balance their cut and fills just from a cost standpoint. So you'll see it probably cut, it flattens out where the units are and where the roads are, and then it will sort of terrace down again. But I think it will largely follow that existing.
Right, so there's that part of the reason why you'd have the 2-story line of homes and the southern part just be those 2 stories versus them having 3 stories in the back, which would make it even higher.
Well, that was, they could have put 3-story homes there, but the township was adamant to minimize the impact on the rail trail and the residents of Apple Ridge, that those will only be 2-story units.
So there'll be some effort made for the taller buildings to be put on lower stations.
They will, absolutely. And and I'm not sure if you were here before. So these are all of the 2-story units.
Right.
And the 3-story units are downgrade and closer to Atlantic Ave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marion Donahue. I live on Pennsylvania Avenue, just my concern also is traffic. This morning, as a matter of fact, I was going south on 35 to turn right onto Lakewood Road. The traffic was backed up from Seagirt Avenue all the way through the circle, all the way to the Wawa. The people coming up Lakewood Road couldn't turn right because there was no place for them to go. So that was backing up. So, and this was just a Tuesday morning. It wasn't a holiday weekend or anything. It was just regular day. My other concern is the option of putting a traffic light by Hinks. If you put a traffic light that close to a circle, it just backs up the circle. So, that's all.
Thank you.
Hi, Paul Safka, Wall resident. A lot of discussion was made about requiring the developer to perform traffic studies, engage DOT and Monmouth County. What criteria, if they say you can't do this, what's the recourse or what does the developer plan to do as far as ameliorating that problem? That's one question. The other thing, it's immediately adjacent to the White Swan Sun Cleaner Superfund site, which the plume is just on the other side of Atlantic. Has consideration been given by the owner or developer to the fact they're that close, and has a Phase 1 environmental site assessment been performed, and are those results available to the public? And then, considering it's an extremely dense site plan and height variances have been requested, has the fire department been involved to ensure that the apparatus can negotiate the tight roads and turns in the development? And those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor?
So to answer the third question, the fire department has been consulted and will continue to be consulted, as they always are, through the land development process as this moves to a site plan hearing. With respect to the contamination, that's an issue that can be forwarded to the developer, and I won't comment on that. But if there are any DEP requirements or any issues on this site, they would have to deal with that in the normal course of action. And the third question, I was busy getting a new pen and paper. Or actually, his first question was?
In regards to the traffic study.
What if they say no?
Oh, I have never seen, and I'll defer to Mr. McGee, I've never seen anyone denied access to their site for a use by a county. It usually becomes a matter of what extent of improvements are required to facilitate that development. And from my planning law classes back in college, otherwise it would be a taking without just compensation.
You are correct.
Thanks.
Money can do anything.
Anybody else? Please come forward, state your name.
Evening, everyone. I moved here 39
I'm so
years
sorry.
ago.
Can you state
Oh,
your
I'm
name
sorry.
for the
My
record?
name is Janet Diefenbacher, and I'm a Wall resident. So I moved here 39 years ago because this was country by the sea. I see that disappearing for years and years now, and I find that really shameful. It's overbuilt now, as a lot of people are saying. There's a lot of traffic. There's going to be more traffic. It's already horrendous year-round. It used to be just the summer, but not anymore. And with a lot of new houses and all the other houses that have been put up recently, the same thing is happening. You can't go down 35 without it being crazy. So I also think about the schools, and I think about the question about why is this allowed to happen without a referendum? I think that when it's something of this magnitude, that there are a lot of people that have varying opinions on this, why isn't there like a vote on this? Because I think if you have a commercial zoning area that's going to be changed to residential, doesn't that have to go by some kind of vote? Oh, I guess that's a question for you. I personally would rather see stores, restaurants, or something like the roller rink we used to have, sorry, bowling alleys that we used to have, something that all the people in our town could enjoy. Or maybe there's some other ideas. But this is, I think, going to be something that we will not enjoy. I was talking to Jack Chitterelli last year, and I asked him some questions about this kind of stuff. And he told me that we don't have to have a lot of the affordable housing that we're told what you have to have. He said the state can't make you do that. He cited to me that Millstone is an example of that. Also, I don't know like how many affordable housing things we're supposed to have, but I think we already have quite a bit. And I'm wondering how come, like, say you have a space that's going to have 100 dwellings, and 10 of them have to be affordable housing. Well, why do you have to have 100 houses then? Does that make sense? So I just hope that everybody looks at all of this and thinks about all the possible repercussions that it could have. I voted for people who were going to stand for land preservation. I know this is not an example of that, but I haven't been seeing a whole lot of that either, and it's disturbing. So I thank you for your time, your consideration, and making a good decision.
Thank you.
Do you mind giving a little bit of brief synopsis about our affordable housing mandate?
This is on behalf of this woman here. Did this go in front of the planning board before 2018, 19, or 20? Who is the redevelopment committee? Why are some 3 stories will look strange? Can you explain the pilot portion? No taxes.
Is that okay if you give a brief synopsis? Give a brief synopsis of our affordable housing mandate? Scott will do that, and then piggyback? Okay.
All right. Mr. Taylor, can you give a brief synopsis of our affordable housing and just to give everyone the information that that will help with the big picture?
I can. We are not the affordable housing planner, but we have had to write the redevelopment plans. Globally, New Jersey municipalities have a constitutional and court-mandated obligation to meet their fair share of the region's affordable housing needs. That number is set and established by DCA. It is monitored by the courts, the Fair Share Housing Center, and a special court-appointed adjudicator that oversees this. that keeps the town's, that process and meeting the town's prospective need for the fourth round is what makes a town immune from what's known as a builder's remedy suit. And this has happened in New Jersey for decades. Towns that say, we're not going to do it, we're not going to build them. A developer then shows up, files a builder's remedy lawsuit and says, I'm going to take that parcel and I am going to build X number of units, and they're going to be bright white, and they're going to be 3 stories, and there's going to be no buffers, and the town loses a tremendous amount of control. And because of that constitutional and court-mandated obligation, the courts very frequently side with the developers, and I'm not aware of any or many cases where a town has even been successful. There were cases last year, it was known as the Montvale case. There were 29 municipalities that basically fought the fourth round housing obligations. And I know Wall was considering, and part of that process, that went to multiple court levels and lost at every level. And the towns are realizing they gave it their best shot, but the state of New Jersey, the Constitution, and the courts have said, so we are getting these 217 units no matter what. We didn't have a choice. Nobody I've talked to has said, oh, this is a great idea. Every municipality, including Wall, understands that this is a state-level mandate that will impact schools, it will impact roads, but it is the hand that we are dealt, and all we can do is frame to my opinion as a professional planner, under oath, is that every municipality that has tried has failed to circumvent and undo this process. There is a process to meet your prospective need, and if you don't do that, you would be subject to potential builder's remedy, and the town would not be able to select more muted earth tones and a lot of fenestration and detailing on the buildings, or require significant buffering. So the governing body, through its affordable housing consulting, affordable housing planner, went through extensive hearings and court appearances to come up with the plan that was approved in August of 2025, which included this site and 217 units. The only thing that we are here tonight to discuss is the zoning, to modify the zoning to create the Peddlers Village Redevelopment Area Zoning District to facilitate the required density, and also the design standards, the architecture standards, the lighting standards, which we believe are far more extensive than what the Wall Township municipal ordinances currently require to make this site the best it can be. To answer the other question, a referendum is not required by the municipal land use law or the local redevelopment and housing law for any zoning modifications covered under either one of those processes. There is public notice required, which is why we are all here this evening, because this rezones this property from the HB 200 zoning district to the PVRA zoning district, and notice was given in accordance with that. And generally speaking, I know the one lady mentioned the inclusionary process. The inclusionary set-aside is generally 20%. So when the town is given a number, the town can either shell out hundreds of millions of dollars to build 100% affordable units, or they can do what's known as inclusionary zoning. And it's the most common technique that is used throughout the state. Parcels are rezoned. There is a 20% set aside. The money that is realized by the developer for the market rate units is utilized to offset the loss on the affordable units. And that is the process that has been set up by the state, by the Fair Share Housing Center, and by the courts.
Thank you. Committeeman Clayton, being that the township was part of the Montvale litigation and you even testified to the courts on our behalf. Can you please give a brief synopsis as well as your perspective into how we as a township committee have really done our best to combat the mandates as something that would be an appropriate and fair number versus originally what we...
Sure. What we did as a township committee is we didn't just idly sit by and accept what the state was giving us. We joined the Montvale lawsuit. We were one of the 29 towns that I agreed with so much that I felt they were destroying the character of our community. We certainly don't want any density housing in Wall Township at all. There's nothing we want with any of these projects. However, we have to be responsible. I believed in this so much as a lifelong resident of Wall Township that I personally joined the lawsuit. And I was one of the people that joined the lawsuit that was selected to testify on behalf of the Wall Township residents. And my testimony was that we have a responsibility to our current residents and our future residents to ensure that there was safety, security, proper planning. The state gives us a timeline that's unreasonable. And they give us this timeline that's unreasonable because they're forcing our hands here. They're forcing us to move forward with this. So we do have a choice. Our choice is we do nothing. And then we get a builder's remedy lawsuit, and those builders who are in this for profit and profit alone, they could care less about the traffic in Wall Township or the impact on our schools or how we're gonna have to increase our police department and have road problems and sewer problems and pump station problems. We understand all that. All of these things were taken into consideration, and this is what we fought for. I got to testify on behalf of most municipalities at the federal level, and the judge threw it out on standing. Basically, we have no loss because it doesn't matter. So they threw it out, and we appealed, and we went to the Supreme Court of the United States. And Judge Alito also threw this out, which was pretty much the end of the road for us. So here's our choice. We do nothing. We say no development in Wall Township, and we cost the taxpayer hundreds of thousands of dollars in litigation, and we completely lose our zoning control, and we lose control of where these sites go. Or we try to do reasonable, prudent planning and force if we're gonna do it, let's do it well. And we put that on the builder, because when we select a builder, the builder is going to make a massive amount of money. Also, who's going to make the money are the engineers, the attorneys, all these entities. Again, this is something none of us want, but it would be irresponsible of us representing the taxpayer of Wall Township, all 26,000 of them, to not do anything or to shun our responsibility. Our responsibility is to sit here and listen to every reasonable person that has come up tonight and gave a great argument. Our responsibility is to do the hard stuff and figure out what is the least impact we can provide to our community, our entire community. And it's frustrating, it's infuriating, and it's certainly destroying the town I grew up in.
Thank you. And this is why it has led us as a town to be proactive with preservation, because now this is, oh, sorry.
Just one thing that Mr. Taylor and Mr. Clayton forgot to add, that if we do lose our immunity, and the fact that Mr. Clayton just said our taxes will go up, well, the other reason why it's gonna go up, because if we lose our immunity, we have to pay for the infrastructure, the roads, the sewer, the gas, the electric, the township has to pay, not the developer. So that's the other thing that weighs on us very heavily when we make these decisions. Now, the last thing we wanted to have to put the township in that position to pay for all that as well. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may.
Sure, please, Deputy Mayor.
There's one thing that should be noted.
over the, and Mr. Taylor can chime in here, but over the last 20 years, this town has been involved in litigation, the fair share, individually and with many towns, I'm going to say at least a half a dozen times, if not more. And I would say it's a good bet to say that this town has spent well over $2 million in legal fees with different law firms that specialize in this. And we feel law firms that we've hired are the best in the state, which one we still use. And we've never been successful, and as everyone was saying, no town that we know of has been successful. They've all lost, and we don't want to lose our zoning ability. We lose that, we're really sunk. But this town has fought it and fought it and fought it more than most towns. And for a long time, we had a really, with the court and with, especially the state, they had a sour reputation with the wall. But, you know, we're still not going to give up the fight, but right now, we have to regroup here a little bit and rethink it because of what the Supreme Court said, so.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And as I mentioned before, this allows us to now move to our next strategy. Since we have been unsuccessful with the courts, in 2024, we proposed a ballot question for the open space preservation tax. That has now allowed us to purchase land to preserve so it is non-buildable. We have also been extremely fortunate to have the Monmouth County Commissioner's support, and they have backed our residents and community and said they will fund up to 75% of each land we purchase. So this is a huge win for Wall because that allows us to purchase more land to preserve to ensure it is not buildable. So to give you, I know we kind of went off into various conversations, but I felt that it was important to give you the most information and some background of what we have been doing to try to advocate on behalf of our residents and give you the big picture behind everything.
There were a couple of other questions that I didn't quite get to answer. One of those was if this went before the planning board in 2018, 19, or 20. So the redevelopment designation without condemnation was before the planning board in July of 2018, where it was determined to be an area in need of redevelopment. So that redevelopment designation study went before the planning board. The housing element and fair share plan that was adopted in August of 2025 as an element of the master plan, that also went before the planning board as required by the municipal land use law and the courts, frankly, through this process in August 25 of 2025. This redevelopment plan, in accordance with the local redevelopment and housing law, was initially introduced by Township Committee. It was referred to the planning board and was heard for a master plan consistency hearing on May 4th. I don't have my glasses on May 4, 2026. So those are the 3 times that this project has been to the planning board. And that
It couldn't have been on May 4th, 2026. It wasn't on the agenda. No way. That should have been talked about on May 4th. It was
Ms.
not on
Cross,
the planning
please
board
don't
agenda.
call out. We can always address a question
All right,
later.
well, he should address the question. I would have went to that meeting if I saw that on the
Mrs. Cross, you had your 5 minutes.
Yeah, answer the question,
Any-
Mr. Attorney.
any
Why
re-
would you be discussing this when it wasn't on an agenda? Thank you,
Ms. Cross.
Mr. Tennant. Why don't you answer
Anybody else
that?
for public hearing? No?
You can't be discussing Peddler's Village at a planning board meeting and not have it on an agenda.
Okay.
That's 101.
At this time, I would ask for a motion to be made to close public hearing to adopt.
Answer the rest of the questions.
Mr. Taylor, are you done? If you are, that's fine. If not,
there was another question of why are some of the units 3 stories?
Yes.
And the answer was the stories, the buildings in the back along the rail trail were 2-story. 2-story buildings are more land consumptive to get the required density. So the buildings that were downslope and further away from the rail trail and Apple Ridge were increased to 3-story in a stacked configuration to get the density needed to achieve consistency with the housing element and fair share plan. There was a question about the redevelopment subcommittee. I think I answered that before. Mr. Tabia may know. I know that several members of council were included or of committee.
Ms. Cross, please.
I've
We are trying to keep this meeting professional and appropriate. Calling out of the crowd is not how we are going. Look at how many people are in attendance tonight. They do not want to hear you screaming out from the crowd.
I wouldn't have to repeat it if you'd answer the question and put
Mr.
it in the
Taylor,
minutes. Then
are
she
you
could put it
done?
in the minutes.
I am, and the last question was relative to pilots. The redevelopment plan does not address pilots. That's not the purview of the redevelopment plan or the hearing tonight. I'm not aware of any pilots that have been discussed. That would all be the subject of a redevelopment agreement at some point in the future, which is identified as one of the future phases under future. We're at current status under the big red "you are here" arrow. But those are the balance of the questions.
Thank you. Okay.
Mrs. Cross, everyone else came up to the podium, had their 5 minutes, acted with class, and spoke and asked questions, and those questions were answered. Your time is up.
Yes. Why
Thank
do we
you.
not have a
Oh,
traffic
Ms.
study
Cross,
if it went in front of the
we-
planning board? Why do we not have a traffic study? He just said it went in front of the planning board on May 4th. So I think you need
I
to...
can clarify that just so the board is clear. The redevelopment plan was referred to the planning board for master plan consistency as required by the local redevelopment and housing law. So it was only, the purview of that study was, is this redevelopment plan consistent with the municipal master plan? A land development application that requires site plan or subdivision approval does in fact require the submission of a traffic study, and that will be under the purple in the future item 16, but a redevelopment plan or ordinance referral is not required by our ordinances or any other statute that I'm aware for there to be the submission of a traffic study.
Thank you. No, we're moving along.
$10 million
Okay.
by
At this
reducing
time,
his
I would
taxes
ask
from
for a
1.2 million
motion
to
be made to
84,000
close
over
public
10
hearing
years.
and adopt
So
the
please
ordinance
put that in the
for
minutes.
its
We
second
lost
and
$10
final
million.
reading pursuant to law.
Sorry. What was that? I couldn't hear both.
We were asking for a motion.
A motion with the closed public
To
hearing?
close public hearing and adopt the ordinance and to read it into the second and final reading advertised pursuant to law.
I'll make that motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Committeeman Clayton.
I'll second.
Thank you, Committeeman Arundel.
Of course you will. 'cause we
Committeeman
got all
Clayton.
your emails here.
Yes.
Committeeman Orander?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Farrell?
Yes.
Mayor Megan?
Yes.
We have 4 yeas to adopt
Thank
the
you.
ordinance.
Okay. Moving to our second reading of public hearing, number 13, 2026.
Ordinance number 13, 2026, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Wall in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, to amend Wall Township Code, Chapter 175, which pertains to records inspection and reproduction of.
Thank you. May I have a motion to be made to close public hearing and adopt the ordinance to its, I'm sorry?
Yeah, we got to open.
I'm sorry. A public hearing on this ordinance only, on 13, 2026.
Wait, what is this? Second reading?
Second reading for ordinance number 13, 2026.
Yeah, could you go over this? I didn't get a chance to look at it. Looks like you're doing something with Oprah that you want to charge or something. Could you go over exactly why you're changing it and what you're changing it to? I see special service charges. And who came up with this? Was this our new attorney, Tennant McGee? Like, what, out of the blue, now we're just looking to charge more money for public information? Like how we have to file lawsuits, we have to have things redacted, we have to have things unredacted. And then we see all the issues we have with Peddler's Village. We would never, ever, ever have to have had housing at Peddler's Village if you didn't let Mr. Scheibels convert this and cut his tax bill $1 million.
Ross, this doesn't have anything to do with that ordinance.
2016. Yeah, it does, because I don't, answer my question, why are we changing the Oprah laws? What's going on?
At the end of your public comment, if the Township Committee wants me to answer that question, or if a member of the Township Committee wants to answer that question, it will. You have your 5 minutes. You're at 1 minute now. You have 4 minutes left to go.
I haven't been up here 5 minutes on
I said you have
Oprah.
1 minute left to go. 4 minutes left to go, excuse me.
Right. Yeah, I'd like you to answer the question, go over exactly what you're changing and why you're changing it, and who came up with it. Was it John Tobias? Was it Tenant McGee? Who came up with it out of the blue to change this? Thanks.
Mr. McGee, would you like to answer?
Well, there won't be an answer as to where the genesis of the revision to the Township Code came from, but the state statute permits the charging of special service charges for Oprah requests, and in fact, the Township of Wall already has that in its Township Code. This amendment, this ordinance, does nothing more than articulate greater specifics in terms of what that charge is going to be, when it's going to start, and also addresses the very real concern that's going through the state in terms of the time taken by police departments to review and redact body-worn camera footage, surveillance footage, etc. It gives the public actually crystal clear guidelines and accepted guidelines by courts in terms of what their charges are going to be for certain Oprah requests. It complies with the law, states the law, and articulates a better standard for more transparency.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Anyone else for a public comment on this ordinance? Okay. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to be made to close public hearing and adopt the ordinance to its second and final reading, advertised pursuant to law.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Committeeman Arender. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Committeeman Clayton.
Didn't do nothing.
Committeeman Clayton.
Yes.
Committeeman Orender.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Farrell.
Yes.
Mayor Mangan.
Yes.
We have 4 yeas to adopt ordinance 13, 2026.
Thank you. Moving along to resolution number 260518.
It's approval of vouchers for May 13, 2026 through May 26, 2026 in the amount of $10,428,147.88.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Committeeman Clayton. Second. Thank you, Committeeman Arender.
Committeeman Clayton.
Yes.
Committeeman Orender.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Farrell.
I vote yes, except for Collier's, I abstain.
Mayor Mangan.
Yes.
We have 4 yeas with the recusal from Deputy Mayor Farrell.
Thank you. Moving along to our consent agenda.
All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by the township and will be adopted or approved collectively by a single motion and a roll call vote by a majority of the township committee. All items are available for public inspection at this meeting in the office of the township clerk. There will be no separate discussions of these items. If a discussion is desired on any item, it will be considered separately.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Committeeman
Second.
Arender. Thank you, Committeeman Clayton.
Committeeman Clayton.
Yes.
Committeeman Orender.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Farrell.
Yes.
Mayor Mangan.
Yes.
We have 4 yeas on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Can you please read our public comment statement?
The public comment portion of our meeting is to have the public to bring to the committee's attention their concerns or comments. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A, the committee asks the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. The committee will respect the public's time by refraining from any comment until the speaker has finished with their allotted time. It should be further noted that the public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. If a member of the public has questions they seek answers to, an appointment can be made with the Township Administrator's Office during regular business hours. The attorney will regulate the time during the comment portion of the meeting.
Would anybody like to come up and speak for public comment?
Betsy Cross, I live in Wall. It's going to be the third time I'm going to ask this, so it's on the record tonight. Who was on the redevelopment committee? If we don't know who that is, I don't know how we're voting on something so important as this. And I think it looks ridiculous to have 2-story, 3-story. I mean, that to me just doesn't make any sense. There's no pilot in this. I thought there was, that there's going to be a portion of them not paying taxes, or you're going to just shove that in later on. You know, I was here when it was shoved at the planning board and quick, in and out, past it. I mean, this is beyond belief what has gone on with this. And I'm so glad that we have all the documents, because Mr. Bertrand, Carl Braun, George Newberry, and Kevin Orander, who's still up here, really got us in quite a mess, because we would not have to build any affordable housing. The 50 we wouldn't have to have, because we wouldn't have converted this to be residential or mixed use. So as the mayor, Aaron, you should be extremely concerned. You were not on here at the time, and these emails are extremely damaging. And how we're going to shove this through, John Tobias said they were paying $1.2 million in taxes. And if my numbers are right, for the 3, he's paying 84 grand right now. So in 10 years, we lost over $10 million. That's an awful lot of money to give this guy a tax break to. So something stinks of high heaven, and it was all negotiated in a backroom deal, in back rooms, and it's not good. So hopefully we can get somebody to look at this, and we'll put it all over Facebook. All these emails from Kevin and John Scheibels, they're all going up on Facebook. And I'll tag the Attorney General, and I'll tag the DCA. This is corruption at its best. You have completely screwed us over. And to shove this down our throats, we only get 5 minutes, but you can talk up here about nonsense. Tim Clayton, you know, oh, he joined it personally. He's done more damage to this town. I mean, you should have joined it when you had all the, if we had the $10 million just from John Scheibel's family, we could have been defending a lot more. But you jumped in at the last minute just so you could say it, and that you personally joined it, while you've completely, you know, tried to ruin this town. And this exhibit, I don't see attached. Is this somewhere? Where's this exhibit? Yeah, what, is it going to be online tomorrow?
I just brought it as an additional handout to help people understand how many steps there were.
I know, but we need to have that. So this should be posted tomorrow. Mayor Mangan, can you post this tomorrow? Because this is extremely important. And I have a huge problem with May 4th that this was talked about in front of the planning board. Because I look over those planning board agendas and I attend them when there's something on there I want to be at, and that Peddler's Village was not on the agenda. So that is a very big problem for the township. You cannot be discussing Peddler's Village and not have an agenda and not let anybody know, so they're not there, and you could secretly talk about what you want to talk about, maybe in one of these back rooms, and nobody knows about it. And Mr. McGee, you should know that as the board attorney.
You have 1 minute left, Ms. Cross.
Good. Let me read more emails. So yeah, this looks like it was Carl Braun to John Scheibels that he's saying, I need to talk to you, privately, alone. I'll call you when I'm free. And that's March 2nd, 2018. So all this stuff was going on behind the scenes, all these secret meetings, secret phone calls. Kevin's just too busy. He's even just looking at his phone. Right? Hopefully you're pulling up
Look
your
at the
old-
May 4th agenda for the planning board, it's on there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. but you missed it, so don't blame us.
And Ms. Cross, that's your time.
Change.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else for public comment?
Madam Mayor, I have one comment to make about Ms. Cross's claims. See, no one, people, the public don't realize the fact that Mr. Sharp did not build here is because he lied to us about a traffic study. He said he submitted a traffic study. I called Monmouth County, they said they didn't get it. I called Mr. Sharp back, said you will not put a shovel in the ground because you lied to me. And that ended right there, and unfortunately for him, he died 2 months later. This is why it was never built.
Give that in writing?
You don't trust me?
No, I don't.
I don't trust you.
Thank you, Committeeman Arundel.
Just a couple items. To be clear, on the taxes that were paid by Peddler's
Talk on the
Village,
microphone, it's hard to hear you.
on the taxes that were paid by Peddler's Village from 2016 to 2025 was $1,835,500. $1,835,000.
How much were they in 16? Wasn't it 400,000?
From 2016 to. I did not interrupt you when you were talking. Don't interrupt me.
I know. Well, answer the
Ms. Cross, the committee and the township administrator have the floor. Your time is up. Thank you for attending this evening, as always.
For the record, from 2016 to 2025, from our tax assessor, was $1,835,000 roughly that was paid during those years. Regarding the redevelopment committee, the representatives from the township committee are Mr. Orender and Mr. Farrell, myself, Matt Zaworski, Nora Coyne, and other professionals on that committee.
The other professionals.
Excuse me?
Who are the other professionals?
Scott Taylor, Eric Nolan, Kendra Leahy.
Perfect, thank you. Now you can put it in writing.
Okay.
On the record.
At this time, I'd like to have a motion to close public comment.
Madam Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Committeeman Clayton. Second. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Farrell.
Wow.
All right, closing comments.
Committeeman Clayton?
Oh, sorry, roll call.
Good?
To close.
Yes.
Committeeman Orinder?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Farrell?
Yes.
Mayor Mengen?
Yes.
We have 4 yeas to close the public comment.
Now we're moving along to the closing comments from Township Committee members. Committeeman Clayton.
I'm okay, thank you. I'm good.
You're okay? Okay. Committeeman Arundel?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say, like I've said earlier today, none of us here want to be doing this building. It's something that's, Mr. Taylor played out perfectly, that is governed by the state of New Jersey, not us. I mean, we'll be with you. Your fight is in Trenton, not here. We're trying to make it palatable. We're trying to make it more accepted by the township, where we're getting something out of it, where it's more, I don't know, not to say conducive to our living, but it's just happened all over the state, and it's unfortunate it's happening into us, and we feel so personal about it because we didn't move here for that reason. And what really brought a lot of this on, maybe what, 2-3 years ago, when they start the what they call them, RFPs? No, what does it call that, where they used to sell the credits? RCAs. So years ago, we would bond, say, $5 million and pay for the building to be built in Red Bank. So we never had issue in Wall Township. I mean, believe it or not, one of the first projects in this town is Orchard Crest. That's affordable housing. We paid to have those buildings built in another town. But it was like 3 rounds ago where the state stepped in and said, no more. You got to build in your town. This is what made everybody get on their high horse about it and become aware of what's really going on as far as affordable housing. Because this has been going on for years in the state, just that really hasn't personally affected us the last 3 rounds. So this is why everybody's so, uptight about it, and I get it. I'm more uptight about it than you guys are, because it's my name on it, our name on it. We want it to be right. And if it goes wrong and we lose our immunity, it's not your name, it's our name on it again. So this is why our fight is so hard for us. And we are going to continue fighting for you. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Committeeman Arundel. Deputy Mayor Farrell?
I have nothing at this time, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with your comments, Committeeman Arender. It is the township's responsibility to comply, and it's our responsibility as the governing body to make responsible decisions regarding our compliance. While we've heard many residents say they believe it should remain commercial, we also see the effects of commercial properties with congestion, such as areas, for example, by Whole Foods. You have Alair Road and 35, and we have asked for a left turn signal numerous times, and the state has denied us multiple times, and it is very frustrating. I also have heard residents voice their opinion that they think a hotel in that location would have been a better option. I can tell you, as a parent who has her young children utilize the bike path, I was very uncomfortable with the idea of a hotel within close proximity of our bike path. So those are some different perspectives that we just wanted you to hear from us. In regards to other agenda business meetings, I do want to highlight that our farmers market will be starting on the 4th, and so we hope people will be attending. We also, for the Wall Fair, are hosting a parade this year in honor of our 175th anniversary, and that will be held on the Friday night of the fair. We hosted a beautiful Memorial Day ceremony yesterday, which this room was packed. It was packed with residents. It was packed with our community first responders, and we had speakers who really spoke from the heart, and it exemplified everything our township represents. And that's all the notes I took. I also want to say thank you to the chief, who was a judge with me at the Allenwood Got Talent on Friday. So thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. Okay. Mr. DeBaya?
Just one, Mayor. This evening, we've heard a lot of comments regarding traffic studies and the amount of traffic that's around. Just as an update, I think it would be prudent that on the Atlantic Avenue corridor, currently right now, the township, at the direction of the Township Committee, we are working with Monmouth County to look at improvements at Landmark Place, Tilton's Corner, and Atlantic Avenue that is currently in design right now. We are also working with the county to improve that intersection. There will have to be a land swap for some Green Acres property. We're working with them. As far as the development regarding Peddler's Village, we have been working with Monmouth County during this entire process to talk about whether it's a traffic signal, center turn lane, and decel and accel lanes along Atlantic Avenue to further move the traffic. We've also met with DOT regarding the lowering of the bridge on Route 35 and some new improvements on the 35 corridor. Some of the other things, and you notice on some of the other sections that there's construction or surveys being done. We are constantly meeting with Monmouth County on the county roads that intersect with Wall Township. Just recently, after numerous years, the speed limit on 18th Avenue was lowered. So a lot of those things do take some time as far as the different engineering and traffic studies that are required. But we do meet with the county quarterly with county engineering to further some of those projects, both from meetings such as this that are concerns from the residents along with concerns brought to the Township Committee members, and then we follow up with the respective agencies. So sometimes it's not instant gratification on some of those. It does take some time, but I can tell you there's numerous studies and improvements being done on a lot of the roads here in Wall Township. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask for a motion to enter into executive session.
Whereas pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, local governing bodies are authorized to go into private executive session to discuss certain matters, including potential litigation and existing litigation, personnel, contract negotiations, and matters of attorney-client privilege. I don't believe we're going to be taking any public action after executive session.
No action will be taken. May I have a motion, please?
Make the motion.
Thank you, Committeeman
Second.
Arundel. Thank you, Committeeman.
Committeeman Clayton?
Yes.
Committeeman Arundel?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Farrell? Mayor Mangan?
Yes.
We have
Thank
4
you all
yeas
for
to come to
attending this
executive.
evening.